What's up? It's Billy Briz. I'm joined by my main man, Taylor Stuber. You can follow Taylor Stuber at Taylor Stuber on all social media platforms. Taylor, how are you feeling today?
Feeling good. I'm feeling good. I mean, we got a nice 3 game slate here. It's weird how the NBA does this, 2 game slate, then 11 games, and then 3 games. And then, there's a big slate tomorrow as well. So, I wish we were more in that 6, 7, 8, 9 range of games every day, but 3 games to break down. But with it only being 3 games, we can go a little more in depth than we usually do.
Yeah, I think this slate is pretty like the information's there. It's kind of there for you, but let's get right into it. Dallas versus Atlanta. Atlanta's 2.5 point favorites. Over unders 225.5. From a betting perspective, I kind of inclined to lean towards the over in that game, but I don't think I'm gonna pull the trigger on it. On the Dallas side, you got Luka, Kristaps, Jalen Brunson were the three guys I was looking at. Then on Atlanta, I was looking at Clay Capella, John Collins. I like their rebounding rates in this spot. Dallas's front court is really bad at rebounding. And then DeAndre Hunter also as well kind of popped up as a value, but I don't think I'm going to get there. And sports betting wise, placed a sports bet on Bogdanovich over 18.5 points and assists as my favorite sports bet of the day. Taylor, what are you looking at in this Dallas Atlanta game?
Yeah, so I mean, I love Luka on both sides. I think he is a bit underpriced. He has always dominated the Atlanta Hawks. He has played very well in the preseason as expected. And then Kristaps Porzingis, they brought his price down and he played awful. I mean, like he was probably like the worst player on the court last year in the playoffs. But he looked to be playing much, much better, more confident in the preseason games. And him and Luka, with their minutes being limited in the preseason, they were playing as a tandem coming in and out of the game at the same time. But I'm fully expecting Kristaps and Luka to have their minutes staggered. And so Kristaps, his usage rate goes up significantly with no Luka on the court. So if he's going to be out there whenever Luka is not, I mean, he should do well in that perspective. And then the rest of this team, I mean, the minutes should be pretty spread out and the production as well. But Luka and Kristaps demand so much of that usage that it's hard to really consider anybody else on this team. Jalen Brunson, I would be interested in him at 3,500 just because he is so cheap. But he mostly acts as the direct backup to Luka Doncic. Seldom does he play next to him. But if there was ever an opportunity for him to play next to him, I think he would be a great play. He's a good per minute producer. And like I said, he is very, very affordable. And then on the Atlanta Hawks side, don't mind Trae Young. Clint Capella, 7,200. Looks to be a full go after recovering from Achilles injury in this offseason. But the one opportunity he got in the preseason, he ended up playing just like 12 minutes, but he averaged over 2 fantasy points per minute. Just shows how dominant he is out there on the court. Think he can dominate this Dallas Mavericks front court. And then, it looked like in the preseason rotations that DeAndre Hunter is probably going to play, anywhere from 32 to 34 minutes. And if Danilo Gallinari and Lou Williams are also out, that even more so secures his minutes. He's very affordable on both sides.
My question for you is, since Kristaps and Capella and John Collins are all around the same exact price tag, how would you rate them for people that are playing single entry tonight, or the single game showdown, I should say?
Yeah, so Collins would be last. So it's between Capella and Kristaps for me. I guess it depends on who you're playing. If you're playing Luka, I would just go ahead and play Capella. Or if you're playing Trae Young, I would just go ahead and play Kristaps. But if you're playing neither of them and you're just picking between them, it's probably Capella for me. I think he's a bit safer. Although Kristaps, I do believe, has much more upside, considering his scoring ability that Clint Capella somewhat lacks.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that one. That will be a game. I don't know if I'm going to get to that one because this next one, Milwaukee versus Miami, this one's going to be a banger. 224 over under tonight. Milwaukee injury news, man. That shoot around news is very crucial to the slate. Probably the most important news of the slate. Drew Holiday, Brooke Lopez, DiVincenzo Hood all out. Man, there's a lot of value in this game on the Miami side. I didn't really see any injury news that really stood out to me. Taylor, how are you feeling about this Milwaukee game?
Yeah, so obviously with all of these injuries on the Milwaukee Bucks team, they were already running a very, very thin rotation. I believe if I pull it up, I think they were running a
8 to
9-man
9 man
rotation.
rotation,
Yeah,
right?
9-man rotation. and now they're missing Drew Holiday for the entire game and Brook Lopez. And so I think a lot of people are just assuming that Mamu is going to grab the start. I don't think that necessarily happens. In the second half, Mamu didn't get in until the end of the game. When the game ended up blowing out, and they ended up running small ball with Giannis Antetokounmpo at the 5. And when he wasn't out there, it was like Thanasis playing out there at the 5. So I think we actually see a starting lineup of something like, George Hill starting at point guard, Jordan Nwora coming into the lineup, and then Giannis sliding to the 5. Sandro will probably get in the game. He could, I guess. He is the bare minimum price. He's a very good per minute producer. But I'm probably going to gravitate towards the other guys because with Drew Holiday being out, it just secures minutes for guys like Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Jordan Nwora will probably come into the starting lineup and be the best value play on the entire slate. And like I mentioned, George Hill, $3,500 should grab a start, but it's kind of tough to get there. And then that makes Giannis and Chris Middleton even better plays. I was already on them anyways. I think that they are too cheap. And that was with me assuming Brook Lopez and Drew Holiday were in the game. So, playing 3-4 of these guys in your lineup is probably the route you should be going on just a 3-game slate.
To be honest with you, yeah, I definitely will agree with you. I think you need 4 Bucks players in your lineup tonight probably to be profitable. I will say, though, Grayson Allen, man, I think he might be chalk tonight, man. He looked really good on opening night. He had 28. I think it's 29.8 fantasy points over 27.7 minutes. He looked really good out there. His price tag didn't really go up. $4,400, $4,100. Maybe if you're playing in GPPs tonight, that direct pivot in that first game, talking about DeAndre Hunter, maybe a better play than Grayson Allen at that price tag when you talk about ownership leverage. And then also Pat Connaughton, man. We're talking shit on Pat Connaughton on opening night, but man, that dude left off exactly where he left off in the playoffs, and they're definitely going to need him tonight. But my favorite 2 plays from this team, Giannis and Middleton and Jordan Nwora, I think he's probably going to be the best value play and the highest value play owned tonight. And then on the Miami side, I was kind of interested in Bam Adebayo without Brook Lopez and all those guys out there. Bam Adebayo might be a guy that might pop out to me. $8,200, power forward and center eligible on FanDuel tonight. Kind of like sneaking him into the power forward spot, kind of going under the radar. And then a guy for GPPs, Tyler Hero, man. He looked really good during the preseason. I know it's the preseason. The preseason doesn't always translate into things, but during the preseason, he averaged 1.31 DK points per game, and he looked really good. He could be an interesting GPP play if he gets over 30 minutes tonight, but there's probably better value plays on the slate. And then stud-wise, I don't think I'm really going to get the Jimmy Butler tonight. I know he has triple-double upside, but not really the type of stud I want to play with. The Giannis, we got Giannis, Luka, Paul George, Curry. Probably not going to get the Jimmy Butler tonight. Anything else in this game that you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you said about the Miami Heat team. I mean, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, they're fine plays. And then Tyler Hero is probably the guy I like the most from this team just because he is so affordable on DraftKings. He should play the 6-man role, garner a ton of usage. And it looks like he's coming into the season with a lot of confidence, and he's just going to be shooting whenever he gets the opportunity. He should probably play anywhere from 24 to 28 minutes, somewhere in that range. But with his usage being up so much in the preseason, and if you expect that to continue into the regular season, he should be over a fantasy point per minute player handling the ball. And then, yeah, I mean, his usage rating in the preseason was anywhere from like 28 to 40% throughout the game. So I think Tyler Hero is a very, very good value play on this slate.
And it makes a lot of sense. Without Kendrick Nunn on the team anymore and Gordon Dragic, it definitely makes Tyler Hero more of a playmaker type of role. And I think that this could be a breakout year for him fantasy point wise.
Agreed.
Before we head into the night game, quick shout out to the sponsors over at Manscaped. Make sure you use promo code PubSportsRadio on your way out to get that 20% off and free shipping. And then shouts to Jeff Slaughter. When you're in the San Antonio area, make sure you go to Southtown 101. we're looking at the Clippers and Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors coming off of their opening night road win against the LA Lakers are 3.5-point favorites here, 227.5 over under. For the Clippers, Kawhi is still out. Serge Ibaka's out and Nicholas Batum. A lot of injuries for that team. And then the Clippers, same injury news as opening night. Not really too much has really changed. On the Clippers side, we're going to get into some guys. I know Taylor's liking one, particularly if you follow Taylor on his YouTube account. Coverboy is the same as that Coverboy for this video today as well. I don't think you can play a lineup without Paul George tonight, but I think a sneaky guy on this team could be Reggie Jackson, man. Reggie Jackson on FanDuel tonight is really standing out to me as one of my favorite value plays of the slate. Without Leonard, Jackson will kind of be the number 2 option in this offense behind PG-13. During 11 games without Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs last year, he averaged 33.6 FanDuel points per game, and his $1,500 price tag difference between DK and FanDuel will definitely make my lineup tonight. Will be Reggie Jackson. But I want to hear your thoughts on this front court rotation. I am manually having to pull down Ivica Zubac. Am I really about to play Zubac on the 3rd slate of the season? Taylor, help me out here. What are you doing with the Clippers tonight?
Yeah, so I mean, it starts up top with Paul George at $9,700. You go back to last year without Kawhi, DeMarcus Cousins, Lou Williams, Serge Ibaka, really guys that garner a ton of usage when they're out there on the court. Obviously, Cousins, Lou Williams no longer with the team. Ibaka, Kawhi are out. But we get a pretty large sample size, 737 minutes, a 35.7% usage rating, 14.4 total rebound percentage, 22.6 assist percentage. He does it all. 1.46 fantasy points per minute for Paul George in this scenario. And I'm expecting him to play big minutes throughout the regular season to, just carry this team to the playoffs. And hopefully Kawhi Leonard can come back in time and they can make something happen in the playoffs. But I think a lot of people are going to shy away from Paul George just because he's not known as to be as good of a player as these other guys like Giannis, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, who are all on the slate. And people are just going to shy away from Paul George. I think George is just as good of a play, if not better than them. And you get a slight discount on him. So I love Paul George today, but the front court is what I really want to talk about. So we know the Golden State Warriors. We talked about it a bit on the opening day slate with the Warriors versus the Lakers, and what we thought was going to happen exactly happened. And that was the Warriors like to go small when they close out these games, and so they're going to close with either Draymond Green or Bielitsa at the 5. And the Clippers are definitely fine with going with Marcus Morris at the 5. We saw them plenty of times last year close with Morris at the 5. And so that's going to cut back on Zubac's minutes, especially in the 4th quarter. I play these in-game showdowns on DraftKings all the time, and I can't tell you how many times the Clippers end up closing the game, and Zubac doesn't end up playing in the 4th quarter at all. So I'm kind of timid on playing Zubac. He has great rates, and he should play very well through the first 3 quarters. If he enters the 4th quarter, he's going to end up being a good play. But more times than not, I think that the Clippers are going to match Golden State with going small. And it's going to be Marcus Morris versus Bielitsa or Draymond Green at the 5 on the opposite side of the court.
One of the sports bets that I was looking at tonight caught a good ass line over at BetMGM. Paul George over 34.5 points and rebounds tonight at -110. It's one of my favorite plays of the night. Secondly, what are your opinions on the secondary pieces? Because we didn't talk about Eric Bledsoe, but Eric Bledsoe is a new addition to this Clippers team. He's going to be a part of that rotation. Terrence Mann also as well. He looked pretty good in the playoffs, where he might get a elevated minute role this year without Kawhi Leonard on the floor. He's 4,500, 4,100 on FanDuel tonight. There's a lot of chalky value pieces. Are you looking at this secondary pieces on the team? You talked about Marcus Morris as well, $5,000 on FanDuel tonight. And I forget his DK price tag off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I was a lot more interested in them before we got all of the Milwaukee Bucks information, which was really unexpected because Brook Lopez was not on the injury report before today, and Drew Holiday was probable. So I was expecting both those guys to play, and so I was getting to a lot of these Clippers guys. But, if you want to get direct pivots off of the very popular Milwaukee Bucks guys, you could go to the Clippers. So with us expecting Zubac to not play in the fourth quarter. We're going to have Marcus Morris slide down to the 5, and that's going to open up a spot for somebody to close and secure minutes. And so that just gives more minutes security to Eric Bledsoe, to Terrence Mann. I think Terrence Mann probably ends up closing this game out with Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Bledsoe, and Marcus Morris. And then I think Luke Kennard off the bench at 3,300 isn't too bad of a play, but I'm probably not getting to Bledsoe all that much. I think Terrence Mann is a pretty similar play for $1,500 less on DraftKings. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going with these Clippers value, guys.
I would agree with you. With that Bucks news, it kind of makes the Clippers secondary options a little bit thin. I'm kind of inclined to play some of the Warriors options. Let's get into the Golden State Warriors. They have the highest implied team total of tonight's slate. Stephen Curry could be an interesting GPP option, especially on FanDuel being $1,000 less expensive than Luka Doncic. I feel like his triple-double on opening night really overlooked how bad Curry did shooting-wise. He shot 5 for 21 and still had 58 DK points, which is pretty absurd with the highest implied team total tonight. The Clippers defense isn't what you probably remember them being. They usually are one of the best defensive teams in the league with Kawhi Leonard on the floor, but without Kawhi Leonard, this kind of is a pace up spot for them. I don't know, man. I kind of like Curry and GPPs tonight. I think I'm going to try to get Curry, Giannis, and another stud in there and try to make it work. But there's some interesting pieces on this team. Otto Porter, I don't know how I can't wait till we get to the Otto Porter talk. Otto Porter was my favorite value play on FanDuel, and he absolutely busted on opening night. I don't know if I should go back to the well or not, but goddamn do I like brutality, and I probably will be playing some Otto Porter and GPPs tonight. He wasn't as big a part of the offense as I thought he was going to be on opening night, but that's probably because he probably ran bad. He saw 11 minutes and had 11 FanDuel points, so he's averaging a fantasy point per minute. If that goes up to 20 minutes, hey, man, at that price tag at 4,100, his price tag went down 4,300 on DK tonight. You could probably do worse. Namila Bjelica is one of my favorite prop players to attack tonight. I played his over 14.5 points and rebounds at -115 on BetMGM. And I also played his over 1.5 3-pointers at +135. I thought that was superb value. Bjelica is definitely going to want to try to stretch the floor, especially against this Clippers team. What are you looking at against the Clippers here for the Warriors?
Yeah, so I mean, Steph Curry, every slate, when he's on it, he has the opportunity to be the highest scorer on the slate, but I'm probably going elsewhere. I don't know. I mean, I'm still dabbling with the idea of playing 3 studs tonight, like you said, with the Bucks opening up so much value. It makes it possible today, and you can feel good about doing it. So if you want to play 3 pay-up options, it's definitely viable today. You could play Curry, Paul George, Giannis, definitely viable today. It just makes it a bit difficult because you want to play Middleton at that price with no Drew Holiday. But for the rest of the team, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, we knew before last game that they were going to be on a light minutes restriction. And, I kind of believed it, but it ended up coming into fruition, and they played less than 30 minutes last time out. And then Jordan Poole at $5,500. He did get a $700 price raise. He shot awful in the first half. And he got less minutes because of that. And then in the second half, he started playing very well, tweaked his ankle, went to the locker room, lost some minutes due to that. He came back, started the fourth quarter, and absolutely dominated. He actually led this team with a 29.7% usage rating, more than Steph Curry. And, he is going to play big minutes if, he's playing even decent. I mean, he was playing like subhuman. It was not good at all. And, but I'm going to go back to the well with Jordan Poole, 5,500. Absolutely love him again today. And then Nemanja Bjelica, again, I mean, especially with him playing so well last game, I think they tried to give him the first crack at the closing lineup again. I think this game ends up going small like the Golden State Warriors always end up doing. And so Bjelica is probably going to be that guy that slides into the closing lineup in replacement of Kevon Looney. And then the Otto Porter thing, I didn't like Otto Porter that much, but I did not foresee him being the absolute last guy off of the bench. I mean, he didn't even play in the first quarter. He started second quarter and only played 5 minutes. I had no idea that was going to happen. I wasn't really expecting Iguodala to get regular season minutes before Otto Porter, but here we are.
Man, yo, Bielitsa, dude, when I was watching the game in the Discord and I was like, dude, he's gonna get the close, he's gonna get the close. And my heart kind of dropped once I saw Anthony Davis up inside the game. But dude, to be honest with you, Bielitsa was running really good. Like he passed the eye test. He was rebounding, he was blocking shots, he was looking good, he was ball handling, he was doing a lot out there. Bielitsa, I'll probably attack him in the prop market. His price tag with Jordan Nora, kind of want to go with Jordan Nora tonight, but maybe that's an ownership leverage. And then Jordan Poole, man, like you said, dude, when I was watching the game, because that was the one game I did watch on opening night, I was like, man, what the fuck, man? Jordan Poole, what are you doing? And then I looked at the usage rating after the game, and I was like, yeah, 31% usage rating, and had finished the game with 27.9 FanDuel points and over 25 minutes, man. You couldn't pay me to play Andrew Wiggins. I would play in Jordan Poole. I didn't want to raise his ownership anymore than when it's probably going to be tonight, but I'm going to go back to the well with that one tonight. But I think that really wraps up this 3-game slate. Taylor, where can they find you at, and what do you got going on? I know it's a busy time in the industry.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at Taylor Stuber. If you guys want to know more in-depth stuff, you guys can join my Patreon. That is linked down below. But join my free Discord. It's completely free, like I mentioned. We have over 1,500 members in there chopping it up about NBA and really every sport when it comes to DFS, sports betting, whatever that may be. And then an hour before lock every single day on my YouTube channel, I live stream breaking down all the most recent news and answering as many questions as I possibly can. And then if you guys want to, I have a video over there as well. I think that's like 30 minutes long. That's also breaking down this slate. You guys can go and check that out as well.
And as usual, since it's the regular season now, 3 plays right here, Taylor. Your favorite stud of the slate, your favorite value play of the slate. The value one can kind of go a little bit both ways. You can give out a DK and a FanDuel one because the price tag differences. And then your conviction play of the slate. The one dude that, he might be in that one lineup, but he's in that one lineup for a reason because he might be under 5% owned for a reason, but you have faith in him.
Yeah, so probably my favorite spend-up option, considering ownership, is going to be Paul George tonight for all the reasons I gave earlier. I think he's just going to be under-owned compared to the rest of the studs on the slate. I would make sure to get Giannis in your lineup as well. But Jordan Nwora on both sides is going to be my favorite value play. I think he slides into that starting lineup. And then a conviction play, man, it's probably going to be Marcus Morris for me at 5,100. He opted out of playing in the preseason games because he was playing such heavy minutes last year. And without Kawhi Leonard again, he's going to have to play heavy minutes again. And I think that he closes the game out at the 5, where he is a much superior fantasy point producer than he is playing at the 4.
I like it. For me, favorite stud of the slate, since you said Paul George, let's just go off the radar. Curry. I'm going to play Curry in one of my lineups. I'm probably going to run a 3 max with a bunch of single entries, but in one of my 3 max teams, I will be onslaught in the night game, and Curry will be in that lineup too. I'm going to go with him as my favorite stud this slate, but I will say Giannis and Paul George, way better point per dollar plays. Giannis, best play of the slate by a wide margin. But as I digress a little bit, favorite conviction play of tonight's slate for me, gonna go back to the well where we went off in the playoffs. Reggie Jackson for me is going to be my conviction play of the slate. And favorite value play, I'm going to agree with you. Jordan Nora. We said this on opening night when we're looking at the price tags. We're like, yeah, bare minimum price. He's probably going to be a guy we're going to look at in the future in the upcoming weeks. Well, bang, second game of the third slate of the year, and he's probably going to be the highest owned player of the slate, and deservedly so. If you're looking at props tonight, make sure you start looking at some of the Milwaukee and the late night games. Those are my 2 favorite games to attack for props. But make sure you hit the like button on your way out and hit the bell notification so you get notified for all of our live videos upcoming on the channel for Pub Sports Radio. At 3 o'clock is the PSR closing time for the baseball season. And then at 4 o'clock is going to be the NBA Pub Hub. I'm on there today. Me, Dutch, Trot Wham, and Babano going over this 3-game slate from a betting perspective. All 4 cappers all cashed their best bet on opening night. Yesterday, kind of forget what really went on because I was doing some personal stuff. It was an 11-game slate. It was a lot of information to go through, so I wasn't really watching the show. But make sure you hit the bell notification, hit the like button on your way out, and see you guys on the other shows. We be pubbing.